Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to GameStop TV. I'm here with Colin from Ubisoft, and we are talking about Watchdogs Legion. Thank you so much for being here.
It's my pleasure to be here.
The whole premise of Watchdogs Legion is that you're sort of building your squad, and you can recruit anybody.
Yes.
You're in London, and you've got your pick of people. I would imagine capturing, motion capture and figuring out animation for all these characters is a massive undertaking, but I've seen the gameplay. It looks gorgeous.
It sounds too big to be possible.
Yeah.
When we said, what's the craziest, biggest thing we could do? And somebody said, what if we could play as anyone? And everybody's like, no, we'll never be able to figure out how to do it. But we sat down, we really took the time to figure out, like, how would all the different people move? How many different types of animation would we need? How many different voices would we need? So we built it in a modular, systemic kind of way. Everything that we did was about making sure that these interconnected systems would all fit together and generate real people.
The game, gameplay-wise, is very much the sort of game where you've got this massive open world. Mm-hmm. You are exploring, you are picking your goals, your missions. You've got the main story, but this one seems like it branches even further than maybe the previous games have. What is sort of our main storyline? Yeah. But then talk to me about some of the other things that we might be able to, spend some extra time on.
All right, so London is going through a deep social crisis, and the two most obvious enemies that you'll be facing will be a corrupt private military corporation called Albion, and they've basically been given control of London, and they're abusing their power. They're holding the citizens of London almost hostage. And on the flip side of that, there's areas that they abandon, and those areas are taken over by criminal factions. They're running drugs. They're taking advantage of people, human trafficking. Like, they're doing all of the things that people do to exploit other people. So in Watchdogs Legion, it's about building your resistance from ordinary people and some extraordinary people, and trying to build a team that can tackle both of those enemy factions at the same time.
How closely does the story tie to Watch Dogs and Watch Dogs 2? If I'm new to the franchise, can I jump in and still sort of pick up on what's going on? And if I'm a longtime fan, are there going to be a lot of ties that continue story threads, things like that?
So for Watchdogs Legion, one of the things that is a little bit different is that there is no main character. So we don't tie specifically to the back story of the previous games, although there may be some things that will emerge in the future. You can immerse yourself in the lore of Watch Dogs. If you've played the previous games, it'll all make sense and all goes together, but you can really play it from scratch.
So a great entry point into the franchise, but if you've been playing, there's a lot there that you're going to pick up on and recognize from your previous experience.
Exactly. Fans are a really big part of our Watch Dogs community, and the fan lore and the attention to detail that fans have is something that we paid a lot of attention to. So we work really, really hard to make sure all the details are consistent and that there is a common narrative woven between all the games.
There are so many new things coming to Watch Dogs Legion, but if you had to pick out one or two new features that you're most excited for players to experience, what do you think they'd be?
The most sensational thing that a player can do, the most obvious thing that you can do, is the way that we interact with our drone system. The combat drones are sort of omnipresent in the world, and there's as you craft up certain skill sets, you'll actually be able to take control of the combat drones and you can turn them against their enemies. But the real core innovation is the play as anyone system, the way that we simulate every single person's lives, and the way that you recruit them by hacking into their lives and solving their problems and exploring and discovering them. That's probably the craziest and most complicated, but the most rewarding thing that we've done.
Very innovative, very cool stuff. All right, when does the game come out and what platforms will it be on?
So the game will be out March 6th, 2020, and it'll be on PC, it'll be on PS4, it'll be on Xbox, and there's a couple of cool special editions as well, too.
Yeah, there's an opportunity to play 3 days early, correct, if you buy the premium edition, and then there is a GameStop exclusive Steelbook case when you pre-order the game, right?
I gotta get me one of those.
Yeah, very cool. All right, Colin, thank you so much for talking to us. Make sure you pre-order Watch Dogs Legion at GameStop right now. All right, I am here with Emil now, and we're talking Ghost Recon Breakpoint. Emil, thank you for being here.
It's a pleasure. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, so you are a writer.
Yes.
And you've got some significant military experience to sort of back that up, and there's a lot of that you're bringing into the game, correct?
Yes, I certainly hope so.
Well, yeah, I mean, absolutely. Tell me, where we're headed. We've seen the trailer. We've seen the sort of rival ghost faction, the Wolves now. I kind of want to know where this came from. I want to know about the two sides here.
Sure.
Tell me the story.
Well, Ghost Recon has been such a popular title for a long time. players that play Ghost Recon are devoted to the franchise, and rightfully so. It's an exciting tactical shooter. It offers a lot of innovations. Each installment seems to sort of piggyback on the prior's animations and mechanics and improves them. And really the question sort of arose, like, where does Ghost Recon go from there? And so when the core team was brainstorming, the Tom Clancy universe is steeped in these brilliant sort of what-if contingencies. What if there was a world where we lost control of technology, where it became weaponized and dangerous? And another fundamental core sort of question that the core team was asking was, what is the greatest challenge a Ghost can face? Because the Ghosts are these very iconic sort of military heroes. And the answer that sort of people came up with was, well, the toughest thing a Ghost can face is another Ghost. The story evolved very quickly, because if you're considering what's the greatest challenge for a Ghost, it's another Ghost, you have to back that up with a significant backstory, because otherwise, as a player, you're not invested. So the character of Cole Walker evolved from that point. And one of the things that we were trying to do with Ghost Recon Breakpoint was expand the narrative drive behind the gameplay. So now you've got two great stories. You have this technology that we're losing control of, and at the head of that technology is the greatest military challenge that you as a Ghost could face. And that, from there, I mean, it just blossomed, honestly. It was easy. It wasn't easy at all. But the story evolved in such a natural way because of these two really strong overarching themes.
So how did John Barenthal come into the mix? Now, was this always, as you were building this out, you were like, he's our guy, or, what was the story there?
From the moment the character kind of became somewhat fleshed out, he was the obvious choice. I think one of the core teams saw him in something and were like, that's the guy. And once the idea of John Barenthal as the character was placed in everybody's mind, the character himself evolved very naturally. So working with him has been an incredible experience, and players are going to see as they engage with that character just how kind of profoundly moving his performances are and how intriguing the dynamic is that exists between Nomad and Walker.
Immediately from the trailers, when you see him show up, you knew there's more to this.
Oh yeah,
this is a deeper story. There's more character. Now we've talked about the challenges that a Ghost might face against a rival Ghost or against technology, but there's another big challenge at play here. You touched on it. You are on the Aroa Archipelago, which is an island chain with all of these different ecological biomes. The environment is a huge part of the challenge in this. Talk to me about that.
So that ties into the sort of the authenticity aspect, not just military, but sort of a heightened sense of realism. Ghost Recon sort of took diverted from their sort of previous models by creating a fictional setting. And the primary reason behind that was that a fictional location gave us tremendous freedom to kind of create and expand that world however we saw fit. And one of the things that was a core desire was to create environments that the player had to interact with, so that the actual environmental considerations became part of your tactical planning. As a player, you can't just leap over mountains, fly through the air, arrive at your objective, and win the fight. You actually have to consider, how am I going to get there? What's this environment like? Is it cold? Am I going to have the right gear? You twist an ankle, it's going to affect how you walk. If you get shot in combat in the armor, it's going to affect your aim, and you have to deal with these things. So the environment becomes another adversary simply because you have to factor in all of those considerations in order to actually achieve an objective.
All right, so without giving anything away, what do you think fans are going to be most excited or surprised by in the game?
I mean, a lot of the mechanics are so advanced and heightened. A lot of the features that we added, like the prone camo feature, like the bivouac feature, where you actually can plan missions, get buffs, do things like eat or drink to sort of heighten your abilities. I think that's going to be a really, really exciting aspect, because again, it lends itself to the sort of tactical considerations. You have to plan out what you're going to do. And I think the narrative sort of drive behind the story is going to be far more engaging than they're expecting. It's a plausible near future, and I think really what's going to excite players is immersing themselves in that narrative and then driving forward the campaign. With that being said, though, the direction we're pushing with the PvP, the shared progression, for players that are less invested in the story but still love the sort of core Ghost Recon mechanics, are going to be pretty thrilled with some of the stuff we have planned.
All right, so we have a truly evolved entry in the Ghost Recon franchise here. Emil, thank you so much for talking to me.
It's a pleasure.
All right, so when can people pick up Ghost Recon Breakpoint, and when does it come out?
Ghost Recon Breakpoint is shipping October 4th. It'll be available on PS4, Xbox One, and PC.
And if you pre-order at GameStop, you can get an exclusive Steelbook case, as well as if you pre-order the premium edition, you can play 3 days early, right?
Indeed you can, yes.
All right, well there you go. If you're interested in picking up Ghost Recon Breakpoint, make sure you pre-order it right now. It comes out in October. All right, we need to take a quick break, but GameStop TV will be right back.